Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we have the third round of Sorvin's non-meta tournament this is the first match of the first round. That's what I meant by number one. But today we have me at the bottom, and I am going to be playing Trickstar, Invoked, like Chaos, Trickstar, Invoked. It's a very weird mixture of those three archetypes. And up at the top we have Maticus, who is playing Zoodiac. And I know this is the third time that we featured him, but this was really like one of the more interesting matches from this round, so I felt like I might as well feature it. So I believe that I won the die roll and I chose to go second, so he will be starting this game off. And he's just going to be starting off with a set copy of Solemn Judgment, 2 copies of Cyclone, and the set Bezel Ship. Unfortunately, not drawing into any Zoodiac cards, he can't really get his play started, so he's just going to pass his turn at that. So I draw for turn, and I go ahead and I shotgun my Cosmic Cyclone, paying 1,000 life points. I'm going to roll for it just to be fair for a randomization, and I'm going to be hitting the farmost right back row. I guess it would be his farmost left, but you get the point. And that's going to be banishing a Cosmic Cyclone of his own, so that's very interesting. I got a little unlucky and I didn't hit the Judgment, but I mean, that's plenty fine. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with a normal summon of Candina, and he's going to let that go through, and I get to add a copy of Trickstar Lycoris. So now I can go ahead and activate Mind Control, and I can just take his Bezel Ship. And at this point, I'm thinking if I could link off into a Phoenix, but I just decide to go ahead and go into battle phase, attack Candina for 1,800, and then I can go ahead and special Lycoris out of my hand by its own effect and hit him for 16. Moving into main phase 2, I can then link these off into a copy of Phoenix, and on summon, I believe he says the summon is fine, and I go ahead and I hit the Cosmic Cyclone out of the back row. I set a card in the same column because it's impermanence, obviously, so I can do some cool little impermanence tricks. But I don't think that's going to come up with Solemn Judgment since it's a counter trap. But anyways, he draws for turn. Drawing into a copy of Time Thief Winder, he can make a redoer here, which is very interesting. And I don't believe he's on any copies of Retrograde. We're going to find out really quick. Looks like he is not, so otherwise he probably would have searched one there. So it looks like he's just going to go ahead and use Monster Reborn to bring back the copy of Bezel Ship in his graveyard. And then he can go ahead and overlay these 2 copies into Time Thief Redoer. So he's playing a Time Thief engine, no zoos at this point, which is kind of funny. So he's going to be attacking over my Phoenix, dealing 500 points of damage to me, and passing his turn. In the draw phase, I go ahead and activate this impermanence, which is going to also be negating the Solemn Judgment in the same column. Then I'm going to be going ahead and activating Terraforming, searching a light stage, and then I can go ahead and activate this, our normal summon the Candina. Actually, oh wow, this is a very interesting thing. So this impermanence actually... Oh, no. Oh, that's right. So Redoer was tagged out and negated, or it effectively fizzled out my impermanence because the target left the field. That's exactly what happened. I forgot about that play altogether. But yeah, so Redoer was chained to my impermanence, so the secondary effect to negate the column actually never happened because it does have to negate the monster on the field. Right here. So then it has this then clause right here, which means that this first part has to resolve in order for the second part to resolve. So that didn't happen, so the column isn't negated. So he's going to negate the summon of my Candina, which is fine. Then I go ahead and pass my turn since I already used my normal summon, but I do have 2 starters for the next turn, which is pretty nice. So he draws into Barrage, and he's going to get my Honest out of the top of the deck, and he has a Barrage as well in hand, which is pretty nice. So he's going to use Bezel Ship to detach from the Redoer to bring itself back, and then he's going to use this Barrage to pop the Bezel Ship and special a Ram meta deck. He can go into battle phase and hit me for 2,800 points of damage here. And then in main phase 2, he can go ahead and overlay into a Hammer Kong, a Trident, and then pass his turn at that, since he has no Zoos and Graves, so there's no reason to go into like a Chakanite or anything like that. So in the standby phase, he's going to go ahead and use the Redoer effect to grab my Juraghetto. That's completely fine. Next, I can use Light Stage to go ahead and get a search, and he's going to be popping Trident, or using Trident's effect to pop it, and effectively negating it, quote negate. It's not actually a negation, it's just since face up, field spells and continuous spells have to be face up to resolve, it won't resolve. Then Meltdown is going to be activated here since I have a second field spell, so that's pretty nice. I can go ahead and search for Alistair the Invoker, and then I can use Alistair to go ahead and normal summon it and add in a copy of Invocation. Then I can link this Alistair off into an Almirage, and then I can go ahead and use Invocation to banish Alistair as well as the Almirage from my field. Or I believe I actually just go ahead and banish the Phoenix out of graveyard since it's a light monster. He chains Redoer to that, which is fine. It's just going to get it off the field. Otherwise, you know, I could just go right into battle phase and then attack Redoer, attack Trident. I'm not exactly too sure if leaving the Redoer on the field was, or tagging it out at that moment was exactly like the best time. I guess probably because he saw that I did have a dark monster, so maybe he's playing around Kaliga. Maybe that's what he was thinking here. But either case, I'm going to be going ahead and summoning Purgatrio, so I can go ahead and swing over this Trident. And the Trident's sitting at 2,000 defense, and my Purgatrio is at 2,700, 200 for each card on his field. So that's going to be a big chunk of damage. Invocation is going to be activated here, and I can grab this Alistair back to the hand. Then I can banish a light monster and a dark monster out of my graveyard to summon Blackluster Soldier. And at this point, he's just like, dude, what? Like, what are you playing? And it was really funny because we were talking in a voice channel, and it was really funny. So Purgatrio is going to be attacking over the Trident, and at that point, that's like 700 damage, I believe. And then the BLS will attack for game at that point. Actually, yeah, it'll attack for game at that point because it didn't use the banish effect. I could have just used the effect to banish the Trident and then attacked with Purgatrio for game, but either case, like, I had game on board, so it didn't really matter. So, going into game number 2, he opts to go first, which is acceptable. I mean, completely makes a lot of sense. And his hand is full of a lot of one-ofs. One of Barrage, I believe he plays one copy of Combo, and the one of Mind Control, so pretty crazy stuff. He's going to use Barrage, target itself, summon Thoroughblade, use the effect of Thoroughblade, which I hit it with an Impermanence, and then he's going to be overlaying into a copy of Trident, setting 3 back row and passing his turn. In the end phase, I go ahead and use Gizmek Orochi, which will banish the top 8 cards of my deck. And you're going to be seeing a lot of Gizmek Orochi this duel. So he's going to go ahead and respond with the Trident to go ahead and pop the Gizmek Orochi. I think that's fine. And in the draw phase, I go ahead and drop this Counterspell Cyclone, and I'm going to be targeting a random back row. So I opt to target the middle one, which is honestly the worst one to target here. I could have targeted either Judgment and probably been fine, but this combo is going to be chained, and he's going to be getting a copy of Ram. So that's a little unfortunate, but I mean, at least he won't be getting the draw later on. So I mean, it's like all right, you know. So I'm going to be activating Mind Control. He's going to be hitting that with a Judgment. That is completely acceptable and understandable. So now I'm going to be going ahead and using the effect of Gizmek Orochi in the graveyard to banish the top 8 cards of my deck and bring it back. And then I'm going to be going ahead and I believe moving straight into battle phase at this point, and I'm just going to be attacking into it and hoping he doesn't have anything. He's just going to be using the Trident to go ahead and pop. Makes sense. Next, I'm going to be going ahead and setting Lilybell and passing my turn. Drawing for turn, he draws into Impermanence as well, and he already has the the Mind Control in hand. So he's going to go ahead and use Mind Control to take my Lilybell, and then he's going to be overlaying a Chakanine, and then summoning back the Trident from the grave, and then a Tiger Mortar to detach to reattach onto the Trident. And that was 3 summons, so playing around Nibiru quite nicely. He's going to be attacking for 1,600, and then he is going to be passing his turn. So I get the Lilybell back in the end phase due to Mind Control, and then he passes his turn. So I believe in the end phase here, I'm going to be using this Gizmek Orochi yet again, banishing the top 8 cards of my deck to bring itself back. And he doesn't have anything because the Trident can't be activated at this moment, or because it was negated from Chakanine. So I'm going to be drawing for turn, drawing into a copy of Alistair. He's going to be using Trident in the standby phase to pop the Gizmek Orochi, which is okay. And then I'm going to be going ahead and normal summoning Alistair the Invoker, and he's going to be hitting that with an Impermanence. I did actually have a proper target in the deck because I do play 2 copies of Invocation, and if you check through all of these banished cards, I only banished 1. So I did have a proper target at that moment, so it was a completely legal activation, just by the way. No, I'm going to be flip summoning Lilybell at this moment and then going into battle phase and using the Lilybell to attack over. I think I should have done it the other way. Now I'm thinking about it. I probably should have used the Alistair to attack over and then the Lilybell directly for 8. I guess that was a little small mistake on my part, but realistically, I don't think it's going to matter. Then this Gizmek Orochi is going to be activated here, bringing it back from the grave. And then he says, while it's in the grave, he's going to use Judgment, but you actually can't use Judgment because it's not a monster effect. It starts a chain, and Judgment stops... it's really hard to explain, but basically Judgment stops summons that don't start a chain, and Gizmek Orochi does start a chain, so you won't be able to negate it with Judgment. It's a little hard to understand, but Judgment does not negate monster effects, so that's why you basically can't negate Gizmek Orochi. You can negate Synchro summons, Xyz summons, Pendulum summons, or just like generic or special summons like Pinkertops from hand, or stuff like that, because they are inherent. That's not like an official term, but they are summons that don't start chains, so that's why you can negate that. But I correct him here and say you can't activate that. He says that's okay, and then I'm going to be going into attacking over this Tiger Mortar, and then I guess I attacked directly for this Alistair. So I guess maybe it was probably better to do it that way, although I was playing into the back row, so maybe it was better for me to attack with the Lilybell over it. I'm not too sure. So moving into main phase 2, I'm going to be going ahead and linking those off into a Phoenix. And on summon, he decides to go ahead and activate the Judgment, which is acceptable. I would have used the Judgment discarding this Nibiru because clearly he was playing around Nibiru really well. So there was no reason for me to have this Nibiru in my hand. So I figured I might as well use the Phoenix to just get rid of it because he's really, really smart with his plays. And he has to pay 1075 life points, and it's going to negate the summon. And I pass the turn. So he draws into a copy of Whiptail, which I believe, fortunately for him, is pretty much exactly what he needed. He's going to overlay into a Borbo, then into a Tiger Mortar, detaching the Borbo, bringing back the Thoroughblade, and this is sitting at 2800, and then he's going to be overlaying... Oh, it looks like he's not actually going to be overlaying... I think he has the Chalconite later, but he's going to be attacking into this Gizmek Orochi and dealing 350, and that was 3 summons. He's not going to be playing into the Nibiru, I believe. He could go for Chalconite here just as a 4th summon, but I don't think he does, so he's just going to pass his turn at that. I believe it probably would have been better to go for the Chalconite at that point, just so the next turn you have the Chalconite to detach and special summon a monster back from grave, plus you're not, playing into the 5th summon with Nibiru. Either way, I'm going to be drawing for turn, drawing into Candina, and I have no other cards in deck, so this Candina is essentially useless. So I'm going to be normal Candina, and I'm going to attack, and obviously I'm just going to, I'm just doing that for fun. There's no real reason for me to do that. So, yep, that's about it. So, in game number 3, I opt to go first. I draw into a Compulse, a Judgment, a Cyclone, and a Lilybell. And the Nibiru. Unfortunately, no starters, though. So, yeah, I'm just going to be setting the 3 back row as well as the Lilybell and passing my turn. Realistically, I probably should have sided out this Nibiru because clearly he was playing around it fantastically. So there's no reason for me to, keep the Nibiru in the deck. But it's okay. Things happen. So he's going to be activating Tenki, and I say that's fine. I don't mind the summon, because I can just bounce the summon back with the Compulse. So that's fine. Then he's going to be normal summoning Ratpier, and since I realize that Ratpier is an insane starter, I negate the Judgment. Sorry, I negate the summon with Judgment, and then I pay the 4,000 life points, and he's going to be activating Barrage, which I believe he drew in all 3 games, albeit he drew, in game 1 he drew it after a couple turns, but, he still drew it every single game. So he activates Barrage targeting Tenki. I hit it with the Cosmic Cyclone, paying 1,000 of my life points here as well, and banishing the Barrage. He goes ahead and sets a copy of Impermanence in the same column as my Compulse, and then he's going to be passing his turn. So I draw for turn, drawing into a Lycoris. I go ahead and use the Lycoris to attack 1,600 into him, and I pass my turn. So he draws for turn, and he goes ahead and special summons Pankratops, and then he's going to be normal summoning the copy of Whiptail, and then he's going to be overlaying into a Hammerkong. I'm going to be just shotgunning my Compulse over it, and then he's going to chain Impermanence to negate my Lycoris, which will also negate the same column, being the Compulse. So that's just a little unfortunate there. Then he can overlay into a Trident, use the Trident to pop my Lycoris, go into battle phase, and then go ahead and flip. Is going to take 800 points of damage, or is it 700? Yeah, because of the Tenki. So 700 points of damage. It gets banished because of Whiptail's effect, and then the Pankratops is going to hit me for 2600. And yeah, if you counted the summons, a Whiptail, Hammerkong, Trident, Pankratops. So that's 4. Yeah, just a little unfortunate. He plays perfectly around Nibiru, once again, passing his turn to me. I draw a second copy of Nibiru for turn, and I just go ahead and pass my turn. Hopefully, he will summon 5 times and just overextend, but clearly he's smart, and he just goes straight into battle phase and hits me for 13 for game. So that's going to do it for today's match. Fortunately for him, this was the one match that was, we were both 2-2, and you need a 3-1, or sorry, we were both 2-1, and you need a 3-1 record to go into Top Cut. So he will be advancing into the Top Cut, which is really nice. And this was the final round of Swiss, by the way. So after the next feature match, we'll start doing the Top Cut feature match. So you should expect to see him in the Top Cut. So yeah, with all of that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next feature match. Bye.